Hello, everybody. This is Brandon Green.
And I'm GaryLeland, and you're listening to episode 99 of the Crypto Cousins podcast.
Feed your interest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies by joining Hall of Fame podcaster Gary Leland on the Crypto Cousins podcast. And remember, we are all cousins in the world of crypto. This week's price of Bitcoin.
$9,180. That's up $1,389, or 17.8% over the last 7 days. Howdy, 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 Brandon. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, this is episode 99. I set this up with you to do. I didn't realize how close I was to 100. You could have accidentally been show number 100. I got to find someone really big for next week, I guess.
No kidding. The century mark. That's awesome. Yes. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. So tell us real quickly about yourself, Brandon. You and I have never talked. Today's show, we're talking about the Bitcoin2019 conference that's coming up when this show comes out. It'll be a week away from the conference. So tell us about yourself, and let's get into talk about this conference here. Who is Brandon Green, and what do you do?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I am a project manager for BTC Inc. It's the parent company of a few different things. It's the parent company of Bitcoin Magazine, the Let's Talk Bitcoin podcast network. Now we're launching this Bitcoin 2019 conference series. Well, it's the Bitcoin conference series, but Bitcoin 2019 is our first edition of doing it. And to give a little background on the conference, basically, our CEO, David, he was kind of in the Bitcoin scene earlier on and has never let go of the fact that some of his best, most exciting, most favorite moments in Bitcoin were where he went to, Bitcoin 2013 and Bitcoin 2014 and got to meet these passionate nerds who just saw this Bitcoin new paradigm, wanted to figure out a way to just make it really a thing at that point. It was people getting beers with each other, talking about what could be, what we could create. And that sort of excitement just really fueled him and made him fall in love with the space. And so we're trying to recapture that same feeling, that same kind of united front on let's, our hashtag is make Bitcoin fun again. Let's really bring out the Bitcoin community for this.
Yeah, I like your hashtag, make Bitcoin fun again. Now I do BITBLOCKBOOM. This will be our second year, and ours is a Bitcoin-only conference. Are you familiar with our conference?
I definitely have seen it, yeah.
Okay.
It seems like a really great event, too. Where was the last one?
In Dallas. We keep ours in Dallas. Ours is, how many people are at your event?
Yeah, so right now we have over 1,000 attendees. We're probably going to be looking at probably 1,500, somewhere in that range.
See, ours is 125. Ours is more of a boutique conference, I guess.
Gotcha, yeah.
They don't even really compete, except that we have some of the same people, I guess, because they're two completely different things, it sounds like to me. I'm coming to yours, so I'm kind of excited.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah, and I also have a podcast with your Let's Talk Bitcoin network. I don't know if you knew that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Dave and Graham and kind of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I deal with her, Dave and Graham. I have the 4-Minute Crypto Show. I produce that every day, and they carry the Friday and Monday episodes on the Let's Talk Bitcoin channel. And I get a lot of listens. Y'all have a strong network there. But let's get back to the conference itself.
Sure.
The conference, what day does this start?
Yeah, so now there are a few kind of events that are affiliated but like unofficial that are popping up around it. So there's a couple on the 24th, but the main conference...
Is that Sunday or Monday? It's Monday.
That is, I think Monday.
Well, I'm going to a carnivore dinner that night.
Oh, yeah. Is it the beefsteak or is it the...
It's the beefsteak. I think he sold out already. He only took 30 people.
Yeah, it's a really small kind of get it while it's hot sort of event that Christian, who's one of our team members, was putting on with the beefsteak guy. And I'm really jealous, actually. I wish I could go to it, but I've got, set up and all that kind of behind the scenes stuff that we have to do beforehand.
So what kind of other events do you know of that are setting up on Monday?
That's a good question. I don't have a list in front of me. I know that Peter McCormick is, getting beers at some point. I think Blockchain Capital and Radar maybe are putting on a lightning event beforehand as well. There's a few things that are going on that 24th. that, we're going to work on trying to put all those together in a list and send it out to our attendees and maybe some other people just beforehand, so that people know all this fun stuff going on before. And, the kind of the parties and get-togethers after the event days on the 25th and 26th as well. And there may be some things on the 27th as well. I wish I had it in front of me. I just don't.
Well, thanks a lot. You're really doing great on this interview here. You don't even bring your homework. Man, what kind of guy are you? We're flying in Saturday morning. My wife and I, I'm bringing her with me. We're going to Sonoma for the day Saturday. Sunday, we're going to Alcatraz. Monday, we're going to Sequoia Forest or something. And then starting that night, Monday night, we start hitting events. So if anyone wants to go to any of those places, give me a call and we'll tell you when we're going. And we can
that's a great sounding trip right there.
Yeah. And then she's just going to hang out and get a pass, San Francisco, some kind of pass where you can get on and off the bus for, I said, do you want to fly home on Monday? Because I'll be busy, starting Monday night all the time. And she'll go, yeah, I got my choice out of sitting in a hotel room that's paid for or sitting at the house. I think I'll sit in San Francisco in a hotel room that's paid for and go do some stuff. I said, okay, that's cool. So, so we got this is a 2-day event though, as far as the event itself.
Yes. 2 days. We're putting together all the agenda stuff right now in terms of setting in the dates and times. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a real doozy. All sorts of fun stuff to do there. We've got the art gallery. We've kind of sourced some of the great artists in crypto. They've been putting together pieces of art, paintings, sculptures, digital art, all that kind of stuff around this conference, and going to be displaying it there. There's also something really cool I just saw on Twitter. Someone put out is art that is actually AR compatible. So you hold up your camera phone, to the artwork, and it has an entire display change, kind of telling a story of the artwork. So some really, really creative stuff there. And then on top of that, we also have a little arcade that's all Lightning enabled. We ran a hackathon before this conference, and one of the competitors, his name is Christian Moss, I think, was putting together some really cool, basically Lightning video games. There's a fighting game that looked really awesome, where basically every punch you land or every kick you land, the other person pays you a Satoshi, and then every hit they land, you pay them a Satoshi, and it settles out at the end when you knock someone out. It's really cool. And then on top of that, yeah, it's a really cool idea. And I'm honestly, I'm really excited to play it. But there's that, and then there's some other, throwback arcade games that instead of putting in coins, you just pay a Lightning payment. And then also the beer garden, which is, kind of this fun, relaxed, grab a beer with some of these Bitcoin people that you've talked to before but never met in person, and just learn about each other, build those connections, and maybe create the next cool project for Bitcoin, on our rooftop. That'd be awesome.
Now, does the beer garden have just beer, or does it have anything else to drink there? I'm not a beer drinker. I'm a vodka drinker.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, actually. Probably. I'm going to guess so, but that's a great question. I'll have to bring it back to the team.
Yeah, I was just curious there as to how much drinking I'm going to do up there.
Yeah. Well, I do know we also are going to, we plan to have food trucks up there.
On the rooftop?
Yeah, on the rooftop. So this place, SVN West, it's an old, I think, Honda dealership that they've kind of converted into this sort of conference space. And it's used for all sorts of companies like Google, Facebook. I think Twitter has had some events there. So it's a pretty well-known venue. I'd never heard of it. But yeah, so one of the things about it is that it's enabled to get cars on every level of it. They have these big ramps. And so we're just going to be driving the food trucks up to the rooftop and letting people chow down out on the roof in the sun. And, hopefully it'll be a nice sunny day.
Well, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I know that I talked to Matt Odell, was on the show yesterday, or last week now, and he said him and Marty are doing a rabbit hole recap at the end on the rooftop.
Yeah, I just got clued in on that a couple days ago, and it sounds really cool. Basically, that end of the event kind of thing, we're all just going to bring everyone together, have a live sort of Matt and Marty going back and forth about some of the things that were covered, some of the conversations they had, and just, bringing everyone together to kind of wrap it all up. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of like starting to get depressed now. My flight I took the last flight out, which was at like 5:00. And now I feel like I should have stayed another day.
Yeah, gotta delay it. Gotta spend another night.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to have been there so long as it is going early like that. But yeah, I feel like I'm going to miss a lot on that last night there for sure. So this is your first year. There's going to be 1,000 to 1,500 people. How many vendors are there?
So in terms of partners and sponsors, I think we have well over 50 sponsors at this point. Our goal was to just get everyone there. Anyone who uses Bitcoin, anyone who deals with Bitcoin, we see you as a Bitcoin company. We're not playing the politics of this one company did this thing wrong and therefore they're banned from calling themselves Bitcoin companies. No, everyone should see themselves as a Bitcoin company. And, that's how we're really trying to treat this entire space, really.
Now, if XRP had a booth there, would you say that statement doesn't make any sense?
Yeah, that doesn't make so the XRP, sure, they're different. A good example of a Bitcoin company there is Tor. Okay. Tor is the onion routing and all that is going to be a sponsor there. And, you wouldn't think immediately of Tor being a Bitcoin company, but so many people use onion routing as a way to increase, privacy and anonymity when running their nodes and making their transactions.
Yeah, my Casa node runs on Tor.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure there's other ones that I'm not thinking of right now off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, I see what you're saying. When you said anyone, I just thought I'd catch you on that real quick.
Yeah, Shapeshift is another great example, actually. Shapeshift, is kind of that exchange that, they had all that KYC issues and they have their own token too. But, we're not inviting them to talk about their token. We're not inviting them to talk about anything other than Bitcoin. But let me tell you, in terms of smart, visionary people in this space, Eric Voorhees is in that shortlist. I mean, he is a brilliant, brilliant guy. And for all of the controversy that he's kind of brought up throughout the years, the fact that he has just created like such a successful company and, a few successful companies in the space, and he loves Bitcoin, that's what we care about. That's what we want to tap into. That's what we want to talk about.
Well, Graham and David had sent me an email saying, hey, if you want to interview anyone, while you're there, give us the names and we'll set them up. And I think it was only like 3 or 4 people I really wanted to interview, and Eric was one of them because I've never talked to him before. I think he's a pretty smart dude. I have to agree with him. He's been in this since the get-go.
Yeah, and Satoshi Dice and, some of those early companies that he kind of spun up around it. I mean, he has definitely pushed the envelope in terms of like creating the sort of companies that, the sort of projects that can only be created using Bitcoin. Like, he gets it. I think if anyone were to meet Eric, they would immediately see it and they'd be like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. And like, we're not giving him enough credit.
Yeah, I agree completely. I look forward to talking to him completely. I really do. I think that's going to be a pretty good thing. Now, what is the website for this?
Yeah, so it's Bitcoin2019conference.com. And someone got the better Bitcoin 2019 URL already. So we had to.
I saw that. Did y'all go ahead and get 20 and 21 and 22 and 23?
Maybe. Cannot confirm or deny, but yeah, no, we're planning on hopefully having a really successful event here that we can immediately turn around and launch Bitcoin 2020. So fingers crossed. We want to make sure we deliver on this first before we get our sights too far ahead of us.
Well, I'm excited to go. I know that last year, the big thing about my conference, BITBLOCKBOOM, that everyone really enjoyed was the fact that it was a Bitcoin conference. And we didn't plan it to be a Bitcoin conference, but it turned out that that's what it became. Everybody who came, everyone who spoke were Bitcoin maximalists for the most part. And so then we said, gosh, we need to run with that because there's not a lot of them. I mean, I've been to conferences that were titled Bitcoin conferences and no one the whole time spoke about Bitcoin.
I know.
And they all spoke about ICOs or altcoin. I mean, I seriously went to a Bitcoin conference last year and not one speaker spoke about Bitcoin.
That's a tragedy of the space in general, is that Bitcoin is why we're all here. And then the token forest just kind of sprouted up around it and everyone spent their time, ourselves included, everyone spent their time wandering through the token forest, trying to find the cool blockchain implementations and all of that. when in actuality, Bitcoin is blockchain. When you talk about blockchain, you're talking about a permissionless, decentralized ledger that is secure and immutable. And that's Bitcoin. Everything else is, kind of a imitation. And, I don't think is genuine when they try and say that they're decentralized or permissionless or immutable. It's just, you need that ultimate security layer, and Bitcoin is the only one that has it. And so from that perspective, like, that's what we should be focusing on, is how do we do everything that's happening in this space on Bitcoin? And that's one of the big kind of ideas around Bitcoin 2019. It's our big idea around our company in general, is let's bring all the excitement, all the energy, all the really hands-on, let's build something together mentality that's in this space, and channel that right back to Bitcoin, because it's been taken away from it. And I think that that's the real tragedy of the space.
Okay, so the parent company is called, and I agree with you, by the way, the parent company is BTC Media, right?
Yeah, so BTC Inc., BTC Media, yeah.
And y'all have the conference now, y'all have the magazine, you have the Let's Talk Bitcoin podcast network. Why do you not have a video network?
That's a great question. I mean, that's something that we have wanted to kind of dip our toes into for a long time now. One of the mistakes we made in this past bull market of 2017, 2016 was, what all can we do? And it was a yes and kind of mentality. Like, let's do this, let's do that, let's do everything we possibly can, until we ran ourselves paper thin and we were all ragged tired. And it felt like none of us were really accomplishing all the goals we wanted to do, because we just didn't have the bandwidth to do it, right?
How many people are there with the company?
So today we've got around, 35.
Okay, I was just curious. Go on. I just was curious when you said ragged. I didn't know if it was 3 people running ragged or 35
Oh, yeah.
people. Yeah.
Well, so at the beginning of 2017, we had like 15. And at the middle of 2018, we were up to like 90 or 80. So, I mean, we exploded as a team. We were constantly onboarding. The back office exploded to try and keep up with all of the, new people. And, it just, we overgrew way too quickly, in the same spirit of, Bitcoin overgrowing and the whole space kind of bubbling. We bubbled ourselves. And, the bear market gave us a good opportunity to kind of rethink what we're doing. Let's concentrate on a few things that we do really well and excel at them. And then once we can start really getting those processes cemented, let's see what we can add on. And video, going back to your original statement, video is definitely one of those things that we want to add on soon. So be on the lookout. Hopefully we're going to start getting some content here in the next few months.
Well, I only say that because, I've been podcasting since 2004. I'm in the Podcast Hall of Fame. I really know that space. But you rarely see a company go into podcasting before they do video. It's almost always a big company goes into something, they go into video because that's the thing they see all the time. And I applaud you for getting into podcasting, don't get me wrong, but I'm also going, it looks like you missed a step. That's why I brought that up. Because usually you see people do, they get online and they do the online stuff, and then they're going to get in further and they have the blog going maybe or something, which the magazine would be your version of the blog. And then they have video, and then they come out with podcasting. So I was going, well, you missed a step there. So I'm glad to see you're coming out with that.
You're right. That's generally how people go. If you want to develop a really professional podcast, you have to get good sound editing. You have to get good deadening, all that kind of stuff of the rooms, some good microphones. But beyond that, the same sort of creative talent you'll need across any media company. Whereas for video, you have to have really good video editors. You have to have, good graphics. There's a lot more, I think, that goes into video. And really, podcasting is in some ways like, it can almost be like a training ground for you to launch into video in a lot of ways. Because, ultimately, it's about storytelling, and it's about conveying messages in a really powerful, meaningful, entertaining way. And podcasts are very ethereal almost, in that like it lets your imagination wander. But in doing that, you don't have to put images out there and like really build the bigger, strong, like not stronger, but like more involved story, right? It can be a little bit easier to kind of put those stories together in a podcast. And so from that perspective, it felt a little more natural doing that. We thought that it would be easy. It's not easy. Putting together a good podcast is incredibly difficult and incredibly time consuming. And it's the difference you see between, a really good podcast and someone just like spinning it up as a hobby for a few episodes and then realizing that they're not cut out for it. And we've seen both, So definitely not trying to say that it's easy to do a podcast, but it felt like a more natural transition for us than to just jump straight into video.
But on your Let's Talk Bitcoin network, you have a lot of podcasts that you haven't produced. I mean, for instance, mine are on there. So I thought that would be the same thing you might do on your video network, is bring in other outside. But that's a whole different subject than what we're talking about here. You see, I'll get carried away on stuff. Hey, tell me a question I've had. I can't believe how many of your people are in my conference. A question I have, though, is about, I have to look here because I can't remember the name of who I'm thinking about. How is Edward Snowden coming to this?
Yeah. So that was a super exciting get. We talked to his people for a long time. And ultimately, it was a conversation basically saying, Edward Snowden, this like Bitcoin and what Bitcoin stands for is exactly what Edward Snowden stands for. And ultimately, he has to be involved. And he came around to that message. Obviously, he's not allowed in the States.
That's why I was asking, what's the scoop here?
So he's going to be doing a live teleconference into the conference, and we'll have him up on screen. It's not going to be some pre-recorded thing. Like, he's going to be doing it there. We're planning on having a moderator for it. We haven't announced who that is yet. We've got some really exciting names kind of in the works for that. But yeah, it's going to be basically as if he was there, but he's going to be up on the screen instead.
When I saw that, I was like, what the deal is that? I know he can't come in the country. So yeah. That's one of the reasons I was asking that. What's Peter doing? McCormick.
Peter McCormick, yeah. So he is moderating, actually. Peter and Naomi from NBTV are both going to be kind of emceeing the entire event. I think I said moderating, emceeing. So they're going to be helping,
so they're like co-MCs?
Yeah, they're going to be moving it along. They're going to be adding in kind of their little tidbits. They're going to be the face of kind of our content as we kind of are presenting it to everyone. So they're going to be helping run the show in a lot of ways.
Very so. Well, Peter's become pretty big after his big battle there, Twitter battle with SV, huh?
Yeah, no kidding.
He had a great show anyway, so I'm not knocking it. And he was well known, but that really brought him up so everybody knew who he was.
Absolutely. And, he's taken that one head on. I mean, kudos to Peter for really just sticking his neck out there and standing up for all of us, really, because Lord knows someone needed to. So I feel bad that Peter's, in the mired legal process that he is now. But, he's a great guy and really grateful for all the work that he's kind of put in for us, for all of us.
I agree. We had asked him to speak at our conference way before that happened. And as that happened, I was going, wow, it's kind of good for my conference.
Yeah, no kidding.
He was just a podcaster when I asked him. Now he's a celebrity.
Yeah, now he's like a martyr almost.
Yeah. So it turned out to be a great. I think I might have been the first person to ask him. Like I said, because he wasn't quite well known yet, I guess, or wasn't that much in the public eye. Before we go, is there anything? I want to make sure that I've given you the opportunity to push everything or tell everything you think is important. Is there anything you want to make sure and tell everybody about?
So I would just say, like, this conference is all about the attendees. We don't want to make this some corporate shill fest. We didn't let people pay to be on stage. We wanted this to be a place where people who care about Bitcoin, either, from a small, like, oh, I've heard of it and want to learn more, to I am fully head over heels in this rabbit hole and I don't plan on ever leaving. This is a place for everyone who wants to know more or talk about Bitcoin. And so we see that Bitcoin eventually is going to be everything. Everyone's going to be talking about Bitcoin. Everyone's going to be a Bitcoiner eventually, in the same way that every American considers themselves an American. Every Bitcoiner is going to be a Bitcoiner. But until that huge momentous shift happens, we still get to be a bit of a tight-knit community. And so this is a chance to meet your fellow Bitcoiners in arms and kind of help push this global monetary revolution forward. If you're interested at all, please come. We're so excited for later this month, June 25th and 26th, San Francisco. And can't wait to have you guys and can't wait to meet you.
I guess episode 100 is going to come out while I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show, and I look forward to meeting, and I look forward to seeing the conference. I also do a podcasting conference in Florida. I travels around the country. It's got about 3,500 people at it in Florida this year, called Podcast Movement. So I know how much work goes in behind the scene at a big conference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to get together, and a lot of timing, and a lot of volunteers to work with, and a lot of people. We all have a big staff, so maybe y'all don't need as many volunteers as a lot of people do.
Oh, we've got a few volunteers for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to be sweating and out of breath the entire time. So I apologize in advance for anyone that meets me because I'm going to be running all over the place. But I cannot wait.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. I look forward to meeting you. I hope you enjoyed today's show. A big thank you to all the cousins out there that are showing their support by donating, subscribing, and leaving great reviews on iTunes. All of those things help more than you realize. Now, you can subscribe almost anywhere podcasts are available by going to cryptocousins.com/subscribe. Call me with your comments or questions at 747-777-9471, or you can email me at thecryptocousins@gmail.com, and I'll try to use these on future episodes. Please take a peek at the 4-Minute Crypto Show, which is produced every weekday and located at 4minutecrypto.com. It's the place to get your daily dose of crypto news, and as always, 4 minutes or less. And one last thing, please take a look at my new website, Crypto Crybaby. This website is for the true crypto fan and sells Bitcoin and crypto gear like t-shirts, caps, and so much more. Take a look at CryptoCrybaby.com today. Thanks again for listening. Love you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Crypto Cousins podcast. Please share the show with your friends. They can subscribe by going to cryptocousins.com/subscribe. And if you want to know more about Gary, just go to GaryLeland.com. Make sure and join Gary and all the Crypto Cousins every week for a new episode of the Crypto Cousins podcast. The Crypto Cousins podcast and the information included in the podcast are not intended as investment advice. Investing in any cryptocurrency is risky, and you should never invest more than you can afford to lose. Always seek professional advice before investing in any cryptocurrency. Please understand, you are using any and all information from the Crypto Cousins at your own risk.